When it comes to action comedy movies, there are few movie series as well known as the Lethal Weapon franchise. Though, granted, they started out as straight action movies with some humor in them and became more and more comedic as the series went on. But nonetheless, the point still stands that the series' way of being able to juggle themes of aging, loss, and responsibility with good action and be pretty funny all at once is impressive, especially since Richard Donner was able to keep it all more or less consistent over the course of 4 movies. Because let's face it, as many a franchise has proven over the years, not every movie series can do that so well. And today, I'd like to personally rank how I felt about all 4 movies and quickly go over what exactly I think about each of them. And as all of you should know by now, there will be spoilers for every movie in the series ahead. So in case you haven't seen one of them yet and don't want anything ruined, you should probably come back to this video another day. Okay, so coming in at number 4, and meaning last, would be Lethal Weapon 3. Though it's not because I don't like the movie, it's simply at the bottom because I find it to be the least memorable. But it's still got some good action, a nice hint of irony in the villain's death, and the chemistry between Mel Gibson and Donald Glover is as strong as ever. And not to mention, this movie might just have one of the funniest post-credit scenes I have ever seen, and this was back before they were even popular. So in the end, while it feels a little generic and forgettable in nature, the third Lethal Weapon movie nonetheless shows that even the worst movie in the series is still good. And next at number 3 would be Lethal Weapon 4. Now, while it was obvious in many regards that the series had run its course by the 4th entry, it still had quite a bit to bring to the table. The extreme uses of martial arts are not only impressive, but help cement the theme of the movie that Riggs and Murtaugh are pushing the boundaries of what they're capable of and are starting to realize they're out of their league against younger enemies. And on the whole, it also makes for a pretty touching end to the series, allowing all of the characters to have a satisfying ending. Even if Lethal Weapon 5 never does happen, it wouldn't matter because 4 already works as a good conclusion. And finally, the comedy here is pretty dang good, especially in the dentist's office. I don't care what anybody says. That's a funny scene. And even towards the end of the climax, when they just start listing every reason why they should just give up before begrudgingly finishing the guy off anyway. Seriously, after everything they've been through, it makes sense for them to have a I just don't give a hoot mentality. So again, while not perfect and having a few flaws, Lethal Weapon 4 manages to make up for it through a combination of new elements, having pretty good humor, and overall just making for a satisfying conclusion to the series. And at number 2, we actually have the original Lethal Weapon movie that started it all, making for a good mystery and cop movie, as well as actually managing to be pretty touching and a bit funny in doing so. This movie has it all. Seriously, Riggs' extreme depression is actually pretty upsetting, and the way Murtaugh goes from being constantly annoyed by his behavior to coming to sympathize with him and even wanting to help makes for a pretty compelling story all around. And that bomb exploding with them in the middle of the street will never not be surprising. So once again, considering everything this movie gets right, it's really no wonder why it ended up spawning an entire series. It's just that one of its sequels slightly managed to edge it out. So then at number 1, we have Lethal Weapon 2. You know the old saying that the sequel is never quite as good? Well, that doesn't apply here. By both increasing the stakes, by featuring an absolutely despicable villain, as well as more comedy in the form of Leo Getz, this movie takes everything that made the first one good and is able to improve on it. Really. The one complaint I have with it is that Riggs might go through just a little too much by the time it's over. But other than that, this movie makes pretty much every choice correctly and is the perfect example of how to do a sequel right. Especially how even Murtaugh, with his by-the-book nature, finally decides that enough is enough and takes out the villain himself. And if there was ever a time to do it, that was most definitely it. Say it with me now.
It's just been revoked.
Dang right, Murtaugh. Dang right. Alright, I think that ends this video. So now why don't you all tell me? How would you have ranked the movies in the Lethal Weapon franchise? And how does it compare to my ranking? Please let me know in the comments below. Because just like always, you are in no way obligated to agree with me on this video just because you watched it. You can have absolutely any opinion that you want to of the Lethal Weapon series, and if you think I've got it all wrong, that is perfectly okay. And thank you all for watching. It is all greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you all next time.